Do you love your partner the way you want to be loved? Or you know how to love? Or do you love your partner the way they want to be loved? Today, we're going to talk about an aspect of relationships which is not really talked about, but is one of the most important determinants of how your union is going to be.
We all have very specific way that we want to be loved.
Is there ever a conversation where you ask your partner, like, how do you want to be loved?
That is a very beautiful question to ask your partner.
How would you like to be loved?
And we don't do that.
Does the language of love also change for people bases on different stages of the relationship or even life?
I feel that the basic core personality that we have or the needs we have don't usually change. We still like those things. But I feel a few other things get added or get prioritized in that moment.
I think mostly you marry somebody who's the opposite of you.
But the core values somewhere are always the same.
Romantic partners or practical partners? What works in the long term?
Practical partners that you can romance with. Who takes longer to cool down after a fight?
We don't fight that much, but I think Mrinalini maybe a little longer.
No, I mean, if you apologize, like it's over there and then, but then he doesn't apologize.
Hey, so welcome back to Love Rollercoaster. This is episode 13, and today we're going to talk about a difficult language. I'm not talking about French, I'm not talking about German, not even talking about Sanskrit, but I'm talking about the language of love. I'm your co-host Gaurav, and with me,
Mrinalini.
and today we have a very special guest, someone who goes by the Insta handle of Therapy with Ruchi, Ruchi Ruuh. Welcome to Love Rollercoaster.
Hi Gaurav, hi Mrinalini.
Hi.
Thank you for having me here.
So tell us about how this entire journey for you began. Like, what took you to this path, and what brings you to where you are today?
So, for 17 years, I was a textile designer. I studied from NIF, Nottingham Trent University. And a part of it was also understanding human psychology. But I never really sat down and studied it till the time it hit me. And I was like, okay, I need to know myself. So I went back to college, did my master's in psychology. And that's how my journey as a therapist started.
Awesome.
And it was about knowing myself and knowing the relationships around me. And that's what got me here.
And it's been a good 9 years now since you've been doing this.
Yes.
Awesome. And of course,
Wonderful, yeah.
hundreds of lives touched and changed in this time, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's very fulfilling, actually. This being a therapist, being able to interact with people. And when you see them transform, when you see them healed, you see them smiling again. It's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Love that.
So a major part of therapy actually is actually realizing that you need it.
Yeah.
So do you feel that, people are more open to coming to an expert to help them figure out their issues? Or do you think that it still requires a lot more?
I think it requires a little more. But the conversations around mental health are helping. People don't find it intimidating anymore. There's no longer that stigma that was attached to, okay, you're going to a therapist, there must be something wrong with you. Now, I think I see young people coming to me and then their parents initially being very skeptical that you have us, why do you need to go to Ruchi? But eventually when they see the changes in the child, they realize that it's something that perhaps they should also try.
So do you get more singles or do you get a lot more couples? Like, do you do couple therapy also?
Yeah, I do. And but I do get a lot of people who come to me individually in therapy who are partnered, right? Like who are in a relationship. So to get that insight, into relationships, and especially that one-sided insight sometimes also is essential. Not just the couples, but how does one see their partner when they are in confidence with the therapist, right? Like how do they describe the relationship? I
Because
think
that's when
that's fascinating.
the basics come out, right?
Yeah.
Your true feelings, your true emotions, your
Because
true
your
thoughts come
therapist, you're
out.
confidant, right? Like it's
Yeah.
the safest space you can be in, and
Yes.
how they talk about their partners.
Yes, and the therapist is not going to go and tell her best friend who's going to tell her best friend who's going to tell his.
No. So creating that space and learning so much about human relationships, I think that's interesting.
So today we're going to talk about an aspect of relationships which is not really talked about, but is one of the most important determinants of how your union is going to be. And that is, how do you love and show your appreciation to your partner? Right?
Yeah.
Do you? So this is a question that we've been asking ourselves a lot, girls, when we have these chats. Like, do you love your partner the way you want to be loved? Or you know how to love? Or do you love your partner the way they want to be loved? I think that's such an important question.
Yeah.
Because we're always looking at, how we are feeling, how things are going for us, what the partner is giving us or not giving us, or how they're making us feel. But sometimes I think we don't realize that we need to be looking at what we can do for them, how to appreciate them. So, can you take us through some of the languages of love that people have?
And I totally agree, right? Like from childhood and all through our adulthood, we want our partner to love us in a certain way, right? We have an expectation there, right? An expectation perhaps we had with our caregivers too, right? Wasn't fulfilled, maybe was fulfilled, we don't know, right? But we never sit down and look at our partner and say, oh, this is how he wants to be loved, perhaps, right? This is the way he wants to be touched, in his life. And this is the way he wants to be understood. And that is when the real work starts in the relationship. When I pause and I put myself slightly at the back seat and I'm like, okay, I'm important, but also how does my partner wants to be loved? And that is when the real relationships perhaps starts, when you want to understand their language. Now, when we say languages of love, Gary Chapman came up with this concept, it shouldn't be seen as a scientific theory, but more as a communication theory, right? There are 5 languages of love that he described. First being the language of touch, right? The second is acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, and quality time. Okay. Now, we all have very specific way that we want to be loved, and our partners do have that way. And very, very few times they overlap. They overlap, and we're like, both of us like words of affirmation. We both are throwing these very supportive words at each other. We are complimenting each other. That rarely happens. Then to understand that this is how my partner likes to be appreciated or loved, and to learn that language, that to make that effort of learning, I think that's beautiful.
But do we actually do that? Do you ask, is there ever a conversation where you ask your partner, how do you want to be loved?
And I think that is a very beautiful question to ask your partner. Yeah. How would you like to be loved? And we don't do that.
And why is that? I think, is it a lack of understanding in our own parts, or is it something that where you feel that, I don't want to bring out all my vulnerabilities? Just the lack of communication is a basic problem. And I think most couples have, even though they've lived for 20, 30, 40 years together, you still have a barrier somewhere there.
Yeah. See, we are all little children inside. We have little inner childs, right? You must have heard this term, right? And for a very long time, we were understood just by these bare minimum words we would speak, our facial expressions. Our parents would read our mind. This is what my child needs, right? And that follows through in our adult relationships too, where we want our partner to instinctively understand. Mind readers, we don't want to tell them that I'm hurting right now, what you're saying. We want them to instinctively know.
Yeah, they should look at our expression and say,
should know
what's wrong.
What's wrong?
But that doesn't happen.
And know the detail of what's wrong, right? Not just what's wrong with you right now, but details of what our inner thoughts are.
What's happening with you and how can I help you?
Yeah. And that is when starting to communicate, okay, this is what I'm feeling, and how uncomfortable that truth might be, to come to a place where you can say, okay, you said something right now, and I don't like that, right? To be that truthful is when the real intimacy in the relationship sort of begins, because then you're like, okay, I can tell this to him, she can tell this to me, and now we can be honest about, I am not letting my partner mind read, second guess what's happening. I'm able to communicate.
So, love what you just said, and often comes down to this thing that I talk about a lot. And while it might be from a business context, I think it's so true, even in this case. And we talk about, the 80-20, rule of, relationships as well. And one of the core things there, and of course, growing up in moral science class, etc., we've always been told, oh, treat everyone how you want to be treated. Okay. But the truth is, and the platinum rule truly is, that treat everyone how they want to be treated. So I think even in this case, what you just said, totally connects with that. So it's not only in the language of business, but it's also in the language of love, right?
See, everything is a relationship. Even the business partner that you have or the business dealing, it's a relationship. And no relationship is different, actually, if you see it. So if I sit down here and I understand what you need, for a minute, just put myself away from the conversation and feel that what you need, I'm developing a very beautiful relationship here.
Love that. Also, the 5 things that you normally said. Now, in a perfect utopian world, couples would have all 5, falling into place. When you said Gary Chapman's 5, rules or 5 things, how many of those you normally see people get right?
So I think people do love words of affirmation. They love quality time and physical touch, right? Gifts, I feel people don't understand it, or sometimes people find it very materialistic, but I feel this could be just tokens of love, somebody doing something. And the most underappreciated, because we live in this romantic era, right, where romance is everything, right?
Right.
Like, I want, yes.
Right.
But acts of service, and that has been such a crucial language for people, like for women, for men, the acts we do for each other, right?
Right.
A woman who's at home, perhaps preparing a beautiful, warm meal for you, right? Somebody who's just getting your tire repaired or doing your taxes, right? We forget that acts of service is actually one of the most underappreciated language. And once we start seeing that,
Right.
it changes.
Yeah. The key is to actually see it and acknowledge it as an act of service. And I found things started really improving between us when I stopped expecting him to give me what I felt I haven't got from him for years. And then I started getting a little realistic, and I just decided to appreciate him for who he is as a person. Now, I started looking at his good points. Then I started seeing the quiet ways he loves, because he loves very quietly. Yes, he gives a lot of gifts. But for me, I need time.
Quality time, perhaps.
I need communication. And I need affection, like the things that you mentioned. And I found that he gives things in a different way. So I started seeing that if he takes time off his busy schedule to accompany me somewhere, like on a Sunday, my mom's friend has called us all the way in Gurgaon. I mean, that's the only day he gets to rest, and he will drive me all the way to Gurgaon. So, I mean, I started appreciating all of that instead of looking at all the things that, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, he doesn't do this. And I think the relationship really went into a different dimension because of that. And of course, I think I'm keep telling you and telling everybody else also.
Yep.
I just appreciate him in front of people and to him. Yeah. So I started doing that. I don't know if I've done it in the last few months though.
No, but I have seen that, big change
over
in the
the
last
few
few
years.
years. Yeah.
Just more of, hey, I love what you did. I love what you did. Thank you for doing this for me. Thank you for a lot of the thank you. And being very genuine about it, not faking it.
No, of course not. And I think what it does is you sort of turn the volume on the positive in the relationship and tone down that negative, right? More positive interactions start happening in the relationship. And that makes your partner also very enthusiastic about you. in turn, you will see that enthusiasm also increasing from your partner.
Yeah. So then you want to spend time with your partner, right? You don't want someone who's always cribbing and complaining about you or, yelling at you.
Yeah. But also acknowledging those complaints, right? Like seeing where my partner is coming from. What are they expecting? See, and I want to bring this very interesting point is that, when we do something in a relationship, suppose I'm late, and it's something I've been doing last 2-3 times I'm late. Perhaps the other person would be very quick to judge that, oh, maybe it's her personality that she's always late, not taking in account what the environment perhaps
Factors that led to that.
Right. But when I am explaining myself, I'll be like, oh my God, I got late because somebody came to the door, or there was a lot of traffic. I'm not doing that character judgment. What people do when they sort of see other people do something that they don't like, they automatically go towards their character or personality, right? But that is not so simple, right? Things are very nuanced. So the moment you start disconnecting things and really start seeing the environmental factors first, I think you start not judging everybody so quickly on their character or personality.
That's another thing. We're so quick to judge. Just yesterday, my uncle told me that I was like, so what would you say about me? And God was like, oh man, he doesn't have enough alcohol in him to be able to say it to you. But first thing he told me, he says, you're too quick to judge. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I am. And that's something I need to work on. Yeah. But over the years, I have tried to judge a lot less. And I do. I judge less. But yes.
But also understand that judgment also was a defense mechanism you created as a child to protect yourself. But then to realize that, okay, this perhaps right now it's not serving a purpose to me, that is adulting.
That's true.
That's when you realize that I don't need to judge. That's a defense mechanism I created as a child. Now I need to let go of it, right? There are other ways I can understand people.
True. And when you're talking about relationships, you're always looking at the give and take. And at some point, after a few years, you find that you're moving in completely different directions. And the relationship has faded. You're not communicating enough. You're finding so many faults with your partner. And that tends to happen. And when one partner starts getting very busy all of a sudden, and one partner is sitting at home or, not as busy and is expecting things from their partner and they're not getting it, and there is strife, how does one get back together? Because, when I say maybe you should work on yourself, you should work on appreciating your partner a little more. When was the last time you complimented your partner, said something nice to them? So, it comes as a bit of I don't remember. But when I say you have to work on your own responses and emotions, I get a lot of this answer saying that I will do it. It's fine. But what am I doing? I'm the one who's, trying to change myself. I'm doing all the work, but my partner's not doing any of that. So how does that work when I'm doing all the work?
But I would challenge that person is that why is working on yourself and becoming a better human being wrong?
Because that expectation from the partner is still not being met.
Yeah, but
then I will work on myself, but that my partner's not working on himself or herself.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to keep doing more and more for, my partner, but they're not going to do anything back for me.
Yeah. But then I think asking yourself, what am I not doing enough for myself is a question. Because see, a lot of people get lost in relationships over a period of time. They forget who they were. They lose their hobbies, their friends. And I feel it's also homecoming to yourself at that moment. Then when you realize that, okay, maybe they are busy right now. They have a life, they've built a life, and somewhere we drifted apart. But also, how can I now fulfill myself? And that's something which people don't ask, right? How can I fulfill myself? And when I feel a little more fulfilled within me, I will have more confidence to ask. Perhaps my partner will also come back to me, And that is something people don't do. They become so involved, so enmeshed in the relationship that the individual somewhere is not taken care of. And I think starting from that individually, how do I fulfill myself, could be a starting point of a very beautiful relationship. Self-love always is the starting point of any relationship around you. If you're not caring for yourself enough, other relationships can't fulfill, right? We can't have all the expectations from the outside relationship. Some need to be fulfilled from within.
When you work on yourself, you change the entire energy around you. And as a result, your partner will respond. You don't worry about their what they are going to do. You just work on yourself, your expectations, who you are, what you want in life, how you want to be. Start appreciating your partner.
And also it will make you freer. It will make you more confident. You'll come back to yourself.
But then there's also a thing that, okay, if the more and I've heard this from a few people, that the more I do for that person, the more they will take me for granted. That's another school of thought. And maybe they have experienced it. That the more I do, the more they take me for granted, and then I'll just keep doing, and then, I'll be like
a one-way street.
Murgi.
Yeah, but then also to know that when do I need to stop? When do I say no? When do I need to focus on myself? Maybe this selfless giving is also an act, that I have. And this could be a defense mechanism I also developed, right? To give without really sitting and, waiting for somebody to walk that path with me. Right?
No, a lot of times they don't want to make that effort because they say, if I do this, then I'll just keep having to do more and more and more.
Again,
so that also becomes a barrier in their minds.
Yeah. So
Ruchi, tell me this: does the language of love, also change for people, basis on your different stages of the relationship or even life? Like sometimes you see that up till the time, someone starts, while they're dating, it's very different. But if then once they're in that relationship or they even get married, things really, change, quite drastically. What do you think leads to that? And what are the, what have you been seeing in your practice on that side?
See, I mean, I feel that the basic core personality that we have or the needs we have don't usually change. We still like those things, but I feel a few other things get added or get prioritized in that moment. That suppose, you were a couple and you would meet, once a week or twice a week, and, words of affirmation, of touch, was a language that you would, very frequently express with each other. But then as you grew into a more committed relationship, perhaps you got married, you couldn't have those moments again, right? You got too engrossed in maybe, the acts of service where you were providing for them or they were providing for you. And it changed, and it does change. But I feel that really accepting that with each different parts of my life, I might have different needs, and expressing it to your partner that, okay, maybe I've changed, maybe you have changed, and it's fine, but we still have that love. And reassuring. Another thing I see is that people don't feel reassured in relationships, right? And really, like very few words, and you can reassure your partner, but that also requires you to follow up, which people don't do. They're like, okay, we'll talk about it. Right now, I'm busy, right now. And that conversation dies. The partner is still waiting for them to come back and talk to them. So I tell them that no, to build that confidence, to build that trust, please come back to your partner and talk about that issue, right?
So if you are with an avoidant,
yeah.
then what does one do?
See, the dance of avoidance and anxious will always exist in us, right? Nobody can 100% become a secure lover or a secure partner, right? But it's great to recognize that when I am perhaps becoming avoidant, my partner becomes anxious. They come to me and they want to know more, or they want to be involved more. And it's a dance. So to be that reassuring person in that moment, And to be willing also to be that person that, okay, my avoidance caused her to become anxious. So I need to console her. I need to tell her that I have become slightly avoidant and take the accountability, right? Also in that part. Does that answer your question?
It does actually, but then the only thing is that the avoidant is an avoidant. So a lot of times they don't want to even address it.
Yeah, but you have to understand that they perhaps will not. That is the part of their personality, right?
Yes.
And to tell them that right now, you are becoming very avoidant, and to show them in a more empathetic way, right? That this is what I'm feeling, right? When you disconnect with me, I get very anxious, and it makes me feel very abandoned at that moment.
And you have to have that conversation many, many times. I mean, it's not like, you have it once and it goes.
No, and also the avoidant has to be slightly informed about their avoidance.
And, I do feel that, in a relationship, you really have to be communicative. You have to tell somebody what you're feeling. A lot of us are so, we feel like, if we express our vulnerabilities, you're in, a position of such weakness. And it's so difficult for people to show people that, I am at this point feeling weak and vulnerable, and I need you to help me through it. And that is probably the biggest issue people have. They do not want to show that they're vulnerable. And as a result, the problems just multiply. So to be able to actually have proper communication in a relationship requires you to be vulnerable, which most people don't end up doing.
And vulnerability means taking accountability of my feelings.
That ego can't come into it.
Yeah,
and ego is always right up there, like even if you have a long relationship of so many years, like, we've managed to, like I am now, I really embraced my vulnerabilities and I say what I want, but there are still times where I feel that I can't say something to you that I want to, and it'll be too much to ask you for what I need emotionally when I'm going through that. And sometimes I think after 23 years of marriage, I'm still feeling like this. And I feel that there are times where you're going through things, but you're not sharing them with me. And I know you're going through it, but you're not being able to express it. Like, why is he not able to do this after so many years of marriage? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Why are you not being able to see that I'm here to be with you and to help you? I mean, even
What does
now,
that make you feel?
it just makes me feel like, where am I not being there for him? Like, where have I not given him the confidence to express himself to me?
And what do you think is, Gaurav, what's happening in your mind at that moment when you're not able to share?
So there are times when, of course, I've been brought up in a way where, I have to like fix my own stuff. And of course, I will confide in a lot. But there are sometimes some things that you say, okay, this is something that I need to handle. It's my battle to fight. And hence, that's, perhaps where I come from.
But do you see her discomfort in that moment?
No. In fact, I think if I did come to her more, I think it'd be easier, quicker solution. And she always finds a way out. So, but I just think, I sometimes
did
still
you
think
see her discomfort? Like, as in when you're not
Do you
sharing
see-
with me, do you see that I'm getting a little anxious about, or just it's upsetting me in a way?
I guess there is, that level of discomfort does kind of pop in. And I think she wants to help, but then she's like, why don't you want to open up about it? But I think we've just been brought up to
what would
do
make
our
you
thing that
feel
way.
consoled in that moment? When
No,
you're
if
feeling
he talks about it.
maybe he is not ready to talk about it. Maybe he wants to do it his way first, and then perhaps come to
So
you.
then I don't do anything. I just
but
wait
what-
for
what-
him.
But while you're waiting, what would you need from him? While you're waiting, you're patient, you're waiting. And he's doing his thing. But you're anxious still. But what would you need him to do in that moment?
I just
Communicate?
communicate.
Tell you that it's fine, I love you,
Yeah,
You're my
something
person.
like,
but I'm going to come back to you, right?
just exactly that. Yes. I couldn't have put it better.
Yeah, that's the simplest way of saying it, right? Yeah.
Just make
Yeah, and that reassurance, this is what healthy relationships are about, right? Like just to see the discomfort of your partner and say, oh, I don't want to see her uncomfortable while I'm dealing with my own things. Correct. I don't know. And just tell her that, you know what, babe, I'm there. I love you and I know you can handle it, but I just want to do it my way at this moment.
It's as simple as that. Just the words. And there are times where I've withdrawn. Earlier, I was the kind who was hypersensitive. Yeah. Like overly sensitive, overly shy, overly underconfident, complete lack of self-esteem. And someone would say something or he would do something and I would withdraw into hurt and go silent and sulk for days. Now, when I'm going through something, I don't want to, the same with him, right? Like I don't want to express it, but I go quiet and silent and he does the same. So as a result, when we're in those moods where, we're going through something, we don't want to really share it, but we've withdrawn from each other. That is when you find it very difficult to say anything. Including what you just said, yes.
Yeah. And you probably see that like in a lot of your...
Both becoming avoidant and, not really trying to work on things that are needed in that moment, right? But I feel that even that should be respected, right? Like even if you enter that zone with yourself and your partner, I think that needs to be respected, that perhaps we both need that time out, We can't be sharing and oversharing and together solving every problem. Perhaps, it's the moment we need to be alone, but we are together, but we are dealing with things separately.
Yeah, but I think maybe we, what we can do is not just withdraw.
Yeah, and then that is something that one person can point out, right? That I feel that we are not communicating the way we used to. Are you here with me? Right? Just that assurance, because I'm here with you, right? Like I'm ready to talk whenever you want. But we don't do that.
Yeah. So, we have come from very different backgrounds. My family is loud. We are, like the decibel level is like 60 in our house. Okay. And, my mom, dad, brother and I, very open. I mean, especially because of my mom. My dad's very, he's another very suppressed personality. A lot of for his childhood and this and that and everything. My mother came from a family, again, where there was a lot of love, there was a lot of laughter, there was a lot of all of these things. And as a result, my brother and I constantly we're communicating, we're fighting, we're screaming at each other. We're, it's very open and there's a lot of hugs and there's a lot of, we got it from our parents. Yeah. But Gaurav, you tell, like, what was your environment growing up?
Yeah. So I think, of course, our side, I think there wasn't not even close in terms of that. And I think when people had a problem with, each other, I think they kind of withdrew. I think that was something that, probably happened, more of. I mean, of course, a lot of respect, admiration, never any fighting. And, no one ever went, like loud and ballistic and all of that.
Loud and ballistic and quiet.
Yeah. But I think there has been probably, a bit of, that's come into our lives as well.
But what attracted you to her?
It was her personality. It was who she was. I mean, she
what
just.
Was she like?
I mean, just her aura and everything else it's exceptional. You see her, right? And everyone's like, you see in a room, and you just be attracted, towards her just because of the aura and the energy that she has. And it's been maybe 27 years since I 28 years since I first saw her.
But it wasn't her energy, right? Like
it was for sure. It was the energy. It was.
What was that attracted you to him? He just made me feel really comfortable. And, he just calmed my nerves. Yeah. I'd experienced so many other men around, I wasn't in a steady relationship with anyone other than him. But the people I had encountered, I saw him as someone caring, someone gentle. And someone I was so it was like a soul connect. I don't know what it was. It just made me feel very comfortable and safe. And that's what I saw. And I saw a very
And
decent
do you
human being.
see that you chose partners based on something which you perhaps did not have growing up? And to see that and to be able to appreciate that I chose them based on something which I admired so much because I did not have it. Perhaps, I did not have her expression, her vulnerability, her loudness, her aura. And she did not have your calmness, your peace. Yeah. And that's why I chose them, right? Like, so I made a good choice actually.
Very good choice. If I mentioned this in other podcast episodes, that if I was with somebody who was like me and reactive, we're at fireworks and not the good kind.
We don't give much credit to this whole instinct that we have of mating, right? Of finding a partner. Oh, it's a very developed mechanism that we have. We know exactly what we are attracted to, what we like. And we have to trust that I made a choice based on something very deep inside me. And now she's here, he's here, right?
Oh, I was very certain. I mean, I knew that she's the one, right? So, and hence, I pursued accordingly as well. But yeah.
So, what would you say to people? Okay, so we made our choice. Yeah. But there are people who are in arranged marriages, or they got married for the wrong reasons. So, a very interesting thing that I found is like, you find that every time when I speak with my single friends, I've asked them, so why did you get married? And mostly it's been, I felt it was time. Yeah. I realized I needed to have kids, or, I just needed to get married, or parental pressure. Things like that. It was never about, I really found this guy or this girl amazing and I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this person. So I do feel that, when you get married for the wrong reasons, I mean, maybe they're not the wrong reasons, but, you're not looking at the most fundamental thing, which is your partner's characteristics and traits which would suit you.
Yeah, well, that is a tough one, because then you have to understand that these are the cards you're dealt with, and what best can I do with this situation, right? You can't change it. It's not going to change anyway in any time soon. And so what best can I do with them? How do I still find moments of love with my partner, right? How do I appreciate them and respect them? And I'm not talking about abusive relationships. I'm not going in that zone because there are many. But if you are fairly okay and you are doing fine, then just to know that, okay, this is it, this is it, and I'll make the best of this relationship.
And as we demonstrated, I think mostly you marry somebody who's the opposite of you. Yeah. You marry someone very different.
But the core values somewhere are always the same. If you sit down and find out your core values, you'll find that the values are the same. It's just the overall personality is what I chose. The personality I chose is what I perhaps wanted in me. Some qualities I wanted in me.
So, Ruchi, there are times where, you have a lot of people who have said that, I have expressed myself and very nicely. You sat and I was like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I need from you. And they may be very simple things. But you're still not getting it from your partner. No matter how many times you've expressed it. And, when people are married for so many years and then, they're asked, why haven't you have you told your partner what you want? They're like, do you think I haven't? Yeah. We've married so many years and you think I haven't told my partner what I want? Yeah. But I'm still not getting it from them. What do you say to them? I mean, you overcome your expectations then. It's not going to happen.
And that's a sad truth here, that Sometimes our partners can't do it the way we want it done, right? And they might not do the things that we want. And that is where the radical acceptance comes in, that I love this person, and there's so much different things this person does for me, but perhaps this is one thing that they can't show up the way I want them to show up.
And it could be something so simple for you, but it's like the hardest thing in the world for the partner.
Yeah.
And I think that is where, I also learned, I said, okay, these are the things that are not going to happen.
Yeah.
Accepting
that.
I just accepted it.
Yeah.
And even now, like the same thing happens and I'm like, okay, but now my reaction is not violent anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I expected this. Go, okay, I'm now just going to focus on the good points.
Yes. And that's important, right? Because that radical acceptance in that moment, right? That I tried and they tried and we couldn't do it. Both of us, have the same conflict every time. Might as well let go of this expectation, right? Or find a way to fulfill it, within yourself, with family, friends,
Yeah, but one thing I've stopped doing is sulking. Because earlier I used to feel so hurt and I used to be like, I would stop talking and I found it easier to stop talking because, it's either that or scream. And, you feel so embarrassed to be like, why are you not doing this and everything. Now it's like, it was a habit for so many years, my entire life, that, when I started doing the work on myself, like even now, if I have to express something, if I'm annoyed with him about something, or if I find that he's using his phone too much or not giving his time, I say it.
Yeah.
But I do say it.
Yeah.
And I find that, when you express yourself, then you stop sulking because, you got it out.
Sulking is good, right? Like do the sulk, right? Please express. But, there are few words to avoid.
Yeah.
Never, right? Nobody. You never do it, ever do it, right? Avoid these very definitive words in your vocabulary when you are telling your partner. Say in this moment, you're using your phone and I don't like it. Express it. Express that concern, that anger. But don't use the events that happened somewhere in the past and bring it to the moment, because in the
That
moment,
brings a
fight
defensive
fair.
reaction as well,
Yes.
right? Like,
Because when you say never, then they're like, okay, I never do this. I'm never going to do it again, right? Like, I'm never going to leave my phone in front of you, right? That's also sort of pushing that person to become defensive.
Like Gaurav is a very calm person. So when I say something to him, he doesn't react. I mean, he listens. Sometimes he will indulge me. Sometimes he will not.
Yeah.
He will continue to do what he does. But there are people who don't take it quietly.
No.
They're aggressive. They get, then you have a fight. They have a full-blown fight. If you do, so that becomes, how do you handle volatiles? Like what advice do you have for people to avoid volatile situations?
See, everybody's different, and some people want to fight then and there, right? And some people want to just step out of the room, go for a walk, come back and start fighting again, right? And I hope you find a partner who fights the way you fight. But in that moment, I think if your partner wants to take a break, let them have that break. But I always tell that come back to the issue, because don't feel that if they forgot about it, the issue is forgotten. It will come back, and in the worst possible way, in the worst possible situation, right? So come back and talk about it. But in that moment, I think understanding that taking a break sometimes is the best course of action. But then coming back, regrouping, right?
You have to resolve that issue, because if you don't, it will then it will keep being thrown at your face over and over again because it hasn't been resolved.
Yeah. And also sometimes resolved issues people also keep bringing in the conversations. And I always tell them, fight here and now. This is the topic we were fighting about. Let's fight about this. Let's not bring my character, my personality, what I did 10 years ago in the conversation. Please, let's not do that. Let's fight on the topic we are fighting about, right? And that's sometimes hard, right? Because we do bring a lot of backlog. But if you can do that, not bring the previous topics and previous hurt. Yeah.
And that's something I really have worked on myself. And because he's a calm person, otherwise, we're screaming at each other left, right, and center. But because he's calm, I realize that, I don't want to hurt him in that way because he doesn't do that to me. So I can't be screaming at him like a banshee, when I'm upset. So I absorb it and I express it to him after a few days where I've calmed down, and then it'll come out. And then I get a little heated because, of course, I'm an emotional person. Yeah. So when it's coming out, it's like, and but I'm not being mean. I'm not accusing him. I'm not being nasty. Yeah. And I'm not saying bad words. Yeah. And so Manav Khanna, my coach, the one who worked on my healing, he said something so important to me. He says, don't bring emotion into your, when you're telling someone this. And he was telling me this in the context of my son or my kids, right? He says, when you're saying something to them, don't accuse them. Why did you do this horrible thing? So you did this terrible thing. Ask them, why did you do this? Don't get adjectives into it.
Yeah, again, that point, right? That don't bring those very strong words.
Yes.
Definitive
Don't
words.
use adjectives.
Yeah.
Don't judge and say, you were so bad to me. You were this, you did such a bad thing. Ask just simple things like, why did you do this? And even with your partner, you can just ask very simple questions. Yeah. This is how I felt when you did this to me. Right? Yeah. When you behave like this, I felt like this. So you're not accusing that person of being something horrible or doing something bad, but you're just saying that this is the consequence of your actions on me.
So rather than describing their actions, you're describing your feelings towards it, right?
So main thing is in my head now I have this thing, don't use adjectives.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, and it really made an impact on me, and I try. I don't know how successful I've been, but I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think? You've kind of reined yourself in a lot over the years. So I think it's a big difference from that perspective. Yeah.
For him, I was too much to handle because he's not used to it. And he's not able to express his emotions at all. So emotions are a thing which frightens him, I think. Do they?
Well, there was a time when people said, if you cut me, you won't have blood, but you'll have ice that flows through my veins. But I think it served me well in due course. But I think after she came into my life, I think there was a lot of softening that did happen. And even though someone still say cold and not connected, but I think a big difference compared to what I used to be and all of that. So yeah, she truly did make me a better man. So that is for sure.
Yeah.
Let's do a bit of rapid fire from the perspective, to you, and from the counselor's, perspective and the therapist's perspective. So I'm going to ask you a few things, and whatever comes to your mind, that'd be good to know. So your perspective, what works better with couples, talking or listening?
Listening, active listening. If I can sit down with you and I can hear what you're saying and absorb a few, I'll learn and I'll have better responses. So,
Love that. Yeah, I would agree. Grand gestures or small daily actions?
I mean, it depends on, your personality and where you're coming from. But I feel we human beings work really well with consistency. So if you could show your partner small things throughout the day, be consistent about them, it creates a sense of trust in them.
I like that.
Yeah.
Right. Forgive or forget? What's your advice to people?
I think forgive. We are all humans. We are all stupid. We will do idiotic things. And
see, there's a term, I forgive, but I won't forget.
Yeah.
When a fight pops up, saying sorry or staying silent?
Again, situational, right? Like sometimes people don't want to hear an apology in the moment. right? They're like, no, you don't mean it. So I think just reading the room in that moment, reading the emotions, if an apology is needed, or maybe a silence.
Yeah. So you think that there's no hard and fast rule. It has to be situational and based on
has
what.
to, It has to be empathetic. What does my partner need in this moment? Do they want me to say something, acknowledge something, or do they want me to be silent?
But again, that involves really knowing your partner.
Empathy in that moment, reading the room in that moment, I think.
After a fight, what are you now seeing? What's working better? Is it actually talking or is it also now texting? Because a lot of people who go down they'll send something, they can't express it, but they might send like a WhatsApp message or something like that. So what's happening on that side?
I mean, whatever is your mode of communication, I still find face-to-face talking the best, then phone calls, and then text. Like texting is perhaps like the lowest form of communication for me, because this so much is lost, so many emotions. We communicate non-verbally most of the times. That's lost. So I think if you can, just sit down with each other and talk.
Like that. Yeah. Romantic partners or practical partners? What works in the long term?
Practical partners that you can romance with.
Combination of both.
Yeah. But yeah, practical. We've lost that practicality over the years because of the romantic movement coming in. Like we see, like last 200 years, so much has been published, right? All the romantics. So we've become romantics. But relationships are slightly pragmatic, slightly practical. And we need to go back to that.
Love that. Yeah. Powerful shares. Anything that you have from your perspective on a rapid fire question side?
Not really. I think you've asked a lot of it.
I thought, what if you were now to reverse it on us and maybe, you ask us a question and we'll point amongst us, whoever we feel is more that kind of person. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I'm just going to pass this to you now. So, like that part.
So, I mean, anything you want to ask.
Oh, yeah. If you want to add to that, that also works. Yeah. But this is just the guideline.
Who apologizes first after a fight?
Me.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to apologize.
I
I
think that's one of my
sorry will
weaknesses.
come once in about 5 years or something. I'll probably get a sorry.
Yeah.
Or I don't even get a sorry. I get excuses and explanations.
Potentially.
Who needs more attention?
She does.
Definitely. Yeah.
Who forgets important dates?
I think she does.
Yeah.
I mean, the time that we were going out and she even forgot my birthday once. And I'm like, dude, seriously.
Oh my God, that was the first year we were dating. I mean, we hadn't even started officially dating.
But what's your method of remembering dates?
Oh, that we're pretty organized. So I'll have stuff written down and there'll be reminders and there'll be stuff that's happening.
3 million notes and notifications.
So I think that unlikely that would happen in my case.
Who's more romantic?
Oh, she is.
Yeah?
For sure.
What do you do?
Oh God.
No, really, what's your way of expressing love?
I talk to him. I'm affectionate.
Yeah.
So I'm the one who does most of the physical affection.
Yeah.
I cook for him, something that he likes. And it's more verbal and actions.
Yeah. What would be that one thing he could do to be a little more romantic towards you? One thing.
Maybe talk a bit more. Talk and a little more of just the touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more just talk. Because right now you get kind of lost in your laptop and your phone all the time. So that talking is not there.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Maybe a few touches in the day, just affectionate. Yeah. I get that. Who needs more reassurance?
I think pretty sorted on that side, but
Me.
Yeah, I think Mrinalini a little bit more. Yeah.
So basically, right? The emotional required needy.
Bad thing. That's not at all a bad thing. It's a good thing. Who says I'm fine when not fine?
You don't even ask. So no. Neither of us.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think
Like I've stopped saying I'm fine. If he asks me what's wrong, if he does ask me what's wrong, oh, it comes out.
Yeah.
So there's no I'm fine now with him.
Yeah. But do you say that?
I think there would be times that in certain areas which I think that I'm handling still my own, so I'd probably say I'm fine, even when potentially I'm maybe not 100%.
And that's where I poke. I'm like, no, you're not. I know you're not. You tell me what's wrong.
And what do you say to that?
I think then gradually I will open up a little bit more, on that. So I think that does happen.
So you need a little more
prodding, perhaps.
So that's me and my family, right? My mother will take one look at my face. My son has become like that. What's wrong? She just has to, and so I'm used to that, someone noticing. And then I'm living with someone who's like, seeing me and that's still not even asking what's wrong. And I'm like, so that took me a while to get used to. Now I'm like, okay, he's like that. Okay, now just deal with it yourself, or talk to your mom, or talk to your friends, or talk to somebody. Just you get him out of the equation with this expectation.
And sometimes we really have to do that.
Yeah.
Outsource a little bit. I'm not saying, but we cannot put so much onus on the partner, so much pressure on the person.
And I just realized when I'm unhappy, I have to figure out why I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
And if it's something to do with him, I'll tell him. But if it's something to do with me, that's where I've gone into a bit of depth with myself. Where I'm like, let me figure this out for myself and try to get myself out of this funk rather than expect him to get me out of this. So that's something that I've gone into a lot.
That's something very hard to learn, by the way.
It's taken a lot of many years.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here. Who takes longer to cool down after a fight?
I think we don't fight that much, but I think Mrinalini maybe a little longer. So
no, I mean, if you apologize, it's like it's over there and then, but then he doesn't apologize. No, but we don't really fight. We don't have these blowout fights. It's always like, I think go silent or disagreements. But I don't think we've had a fight. And now the kids are also not here. So, so we're not fighting about them either, you know.
Because sometimes I think there would be disagreements on the fact that, let's say she said no and the kids came to me and I said yes. And then there'd be that conflict that, okay, when I said no, how is it this no became a yes? So I think, and the kids also, when they were younger, they realized that, you can get away with a lot more with me.
No, it's not just that, different ways. Like I'm a person who doesn't want to give them too much. Give them, but don't give them so much that they start becoming entitled and, keep it simple. So no branded clothes, no nothing. Just make them look good, but, give them more time and affection rather than things. Yeah. And he was very generous. So he would spend a lot of money on them. So I would get annoyed by the fact that, he's giving them everything they want. So I wanted them to learn the value of money. And the fact that, when everything you get is something that someone's worked very hard to give you.
But in retrospect, like now, how do you feel about how they've grown up?
Well, they've come up really well. And I think, of course, she's had a really big role to play there because, she's kept them very grounded in a time and a place where, kids today only want everything has to be, branded and it's about, what you're wearing and, what you're driving and where you live and all of those things. And I think those things haven't mattered to them. And I think that's fantastic. And it's also because of, the values that she instilled in them, which is great. I mean, when we see this in our sons today in college, our daughters, still in school, probably around the same age as your daughter. And, you would just see around what's happening, and I think from their side, they're very grounded. And I think she has a very big role to play there.
No, they're very good people. They've gone through their stages where, as a child, of course, your teenage years, this, that. I mean, they're still son's the last of his teens and my daughter's right in the middle of it. Yeah. I mean, they've had their moments of being typical teens, but they're growing up to be very good people. Yeah. Yep. And now trying to instill in them a sense of self-worth, self-confidence and communication skills. And that's something that I'm very, very strong about. I'm like, I don't care about your marks and all that so much. Yeah. Learn a skill and learn to communicate, make people feel valued, like the people you're talking to, make them feel good. That is the skill you need to learn.
No, so what
And be good to people.
I was trying to come to is that, I mean, there are two different upbringing styles that I see. And I'm not saying the values remain the same, but styles are a little different. But what I feel is the children got exposed to various ideas. And that's a very wholesome space, right? Where there is certain amount of generosity also coming from the father, but the mother also knows when to say no or to have you in certain bounds, right? So I like that rich upbringing, right? If both parents are perhaps slightly rigid, they're instilling one idea, I feel that the child still grows up feeling that they lacked something, right? But I feel that when I hear what you described, I think it's a very wholesome space for a child because the values are very strong, but the styles were different. So I think that was a wholesome way of.
So now I indulge them. So, my son's like, what is wrong with you? When we were kids, you were like, I wanted this thing. And you were like, no. And now you're like, take. I said, because now you know the value. Now you know the value. Now I feel good that,
No, I
you know the
I
value.
feel that children should be exposed to various ideas at home, grandparents and parents and uncles and aunts, because that opens their perspective. It makes them easy to navigate in the world because they're not going to find people like their parents all the time. They're going to find different kind of people and they should be able to.
And even exposure to grandparents,
Yes.
like it's almost like their favorite place to go to is her parents' place, right? Because, there they see the banter between, her mom and dad and, but even the equations that they have and just the warmth that, they bring. So it just opens up, their perspective. Yes. And I think that's had a big role to play on them as well.
Yeah. And I feel that is something which we need to expose our children more because it makes their relationship later richer, because they know how to deal with different kinds of people and different kind of ideas, right? Who needs more physical affection?
I think Mrinalini, yeah. So.
It's a one-sided quiz.
It's a one-sided quiz. You ask the right questions now. Like, can direct some things towards him now.
Who checks phone more during the conversation?
Yeah, that is. That's a
all the
no-brainer.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, if he could, you'd be on it even now.
But do you take a break from the phone?
I mean, I try. There are times where I try and actually have my phone out of the room altogether. I think that's, and if it's not around me, then it's great.
Right.
What happens is that there's just so much that's happening in my life, and so many of my work is done, globally and locally on, WhatsApp and emails and social media. So you just tend to, you have that. I won't say FOMO, but it's just that, I hope I'm not missing something, and all of that. And it's something that, of course, needs to be addressed.
So, Gaurav, do you ever think that how would have people run businesses and empires when there were no phones?
For sure. I mean, it was perhaps maybe not as efficient as it is today, but it's been done. It's been done. Yeah. But it's just that, like I said, you just want to stay on top of things, and I think it's also one's personality. So, yeah, it's. I'm saying it's something that needs to be looked into. It's not a perfect situation. Yeah.
So, Ruchi, I had a question for you. So, as a therapist, you're used to giving people advice. Yeah. How much of that do you use? I mean, how much of that do you incorporate in your own personal life?
I think I try to be a better person. I have my own flaws. I'm very human when it comes to my relationships. But yes, I mean, when I encounter people and when I see that everybody's struggling with something, I think it gives me a lot of empathy for my partner, right? I think I've started really empathizing with him, right? Like, just like you, I am like this loud, very expressive, very, this person, right? Always telling him what my needs are. And he is almost like Gaurav, where he's silent and he's shy. He's doing all the things in the background without any noise. I need to make noise to do things, right? And I think over a very long period of, and we've had our own share of conflicts, but I think I've realized that what a beautiful human being he is, right? And in silence, he's worked so much. I always needed that, to be loud and to share things, but in silence, he's worked so hard for us, right? And I think that empathy, and I feel that you require a certain period of time to be with your partner to develop that vision and empathy for them. And I think I'm proud of myself that I could do that.
That's amazing. I just want to give you an anecdote. So I started working on myself in 2016, around August, September. And 2017, I remember, it was still at a stage where I wasn't really appreciating him for, the way I do now. We'd come to office and I was like, he doesn't spend any time and he's just so on his own trip and we'd come to office and I spent a day in office and I saw him firefighting, right? He's on the phone. There's this escalation. There's that problem. There's this problem. There's that problem. And he's handling all of that. I remember we were driving back home in the car. It struck me at the moment. I said, he's going through all of this. A lesser person would have come home and taken it out on the family. And the fact that he can, and it was not pleasant, it was unpleasant. The fact that he can come home, he can switch off and just be remotely normal and not have it cascade into the house. I was like, I need to appreciate him more. And I think that was that aha moment for me.
Right.
And then from then, then we had a couple of years where things were not going well at all. And then after that, when things settled down, it was like, okay. Now I'm just going to see from his perspective, like what he's going through every day. And let me see if I can make things better for him. Like not have unpleasantness at home.
And I think the pandemic was a reset for many, right? I think, that break that, COVID really brought in, for many, it was a reset, where you just realized, okay, priorities are perhaps different. And, this pace of life has to be a little different. So I'm sure you must have seen that with a lot of people that as well.
I feel that particular period was a period of contemplation and really seeing your partner. And, we saw a surge in divorces also. But then we also saw surge in people getting married and a lot of children being born after that, right? So I think it gave people a perspective that, is this person even right for me? Do I want to go in this direction? Or should I really go in this direction and improve my relationship, So I think we saw both the things happen, where people separated or people, really connected. But I think that's a good thing. And that is something which we lack in the modern life. I was reading a study and it said 70% of our life satisfaction comes from our relationship. And I thought that, do I give 70% of my time to my relationships? And then the answer was plain no.
Of course, right.
So maybe 30%, not more than that. But you realize that how we have built the society and structure around us, where we are still expecting our relationships to be the most fulfilling thing, but we don't have enough time to give to our relationship, enough empathy to give to our relationship, right? And I think COVID did that, pandemic did that, where we could really sit down and give time to each other.
But it's gone back to normal again,
Yes.
You've forgotten about those times. And life's taken on its own hectic pace again, and probably even more. And things have changed so fundamentally. I mean, I always say there was a before COVID and an after COVID. It's been like a switch, like a flick of a switch.
There's one thing I tell my clients to do, right? I tell them that there are 100 points of empathy or energy you get every morning credited to your account. Now, these 100 beans that you get of energy, it needs to be equally divided amongst the people you meet. Okay. You need to still save 10 for yourself, personally. right, where you're giving that kindness to yourself, sitting down, doing your thing, right? 10 perhaps to your partner, right? What is left, distribute. But if you overdo somewhere, know that you will have that void with your partner. So if I distributed the 100 beans somewhere today, right? Give it all. I would not have that energy left. So be a little wise once you start calculating it, that I have a very limited energy and empathy in me. And if I am mindlessly scrolling on the internet for 2 hours looking at reels, I am depleting that. And once you start seeing it this way, that, okay, I only have 100, right? How do I save it for myself, have peaceful relationships around me? Then you use them wisely.
Very, very powerful. Yeah. So for our viewers and listeners, how do they find you? Where do they find you? And how can they reach out to you? So do let us know about that as well.
So I have an Instagram page. I have a website. The Instagram page is called Therapy with Ruchi. And my website is ruchiruuh.com. So, yeah.
All right. So there you heard it. ruchiruuh.com and Therapy with Ruchi. I think my big takeaway for today really is that, people don't fall out of love. I think what happens is that sometimes the language of love, I think, it's lost in translation. And I think if we can just, get that back on track and just get things working on that side and just talk more, communicate more, and, just put a little more effort, I think the world will truly be a better place. Thank you so much for sharing today, and really loved your shares.
Thank you, Ruchi. As you know, the trope, communication is key.
Yeah.
I remember telling my friend, we're going to start a podcast on relationships. She fell off her chair laughing. She's like, what are you going to tell everybody? Communication is key. It's exactly that.
It's exactly that, just a little more nuance.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, you have to learn how to communicate in the way that you feel will get through to your partner the best way. So Ruchi, thank you so much for taking our time to be with us here. And your insights were so good. We're going to get you back. We're going to get Ruchi back for another episode on conflict and breakups and how to rebuild yourself after a breakup. So thank you, Ruchi. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Really enjoyed spending time with you.
Same here. I love the insights. I learned so much. So it's been a wonderful chat. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.